Design services for construction projects. Civil engineering services are required for each of 6 typical phases of a construction project. All services are preferably furnished by the same civil engineer for consistency and efficiency, although at times, services in various phases are furnished by different engineers or by the client. The services are supplemented by special services which may be provided by the client, a specialized engineer, or another civil engineer. Study and report phase. This phase involves determination of project scope, of economic and technical evaluation of feasible alternatives. The services performed during this phase may include reviewing available data and consulting with the client to clarify and define the client's requirements for the project, advising the client as to the necessity of providing or obtaining from other additional data or services, and assisting the client in obtaining such data service, identifying and analyzing requirements of governmental authorities having jurisdiction to approve the design of the project, and participating in consultations with such authorities, providing analysis of the client's needs, planning surveys, comparative evaluations of prospective sites and solutions, providing a general economic analysis of the client's requirements applicable to various alternatives, preparing a report and presenting alternative solutions available to the client with the civil engineer's findings and recommendations. Preliminary design phase. This phase involves establishment of the general size and scope of the project and its location on the selected site. The preliminary design services may include consulting with the client, reviewing preliminary reports, clarifying and defining project requirements, reviewing available data, and discussing general scheduling. Advising the client as to whether additional data or services of the type described under the study and report phase above are required, and assisting the client in obtaining such data and services. Preparing preliminary design documents consisting of final design criteria, preliminary drawings, outline specifications, and written descriptions of the project. Preparing revised estimates of probable total project cost, and providing periodic project reports. Final destination phase. This phase of project development is usually undertaken only after the client has approved the preliminary design phase material. The basic services for the final design phase may include preparing construction drawings and specifications showing the character and extent of the project based on the final accepted preliminary design documents, preparing and furnishing to the client a revised estimate of probable total project cost based on the final drawings and the specifications, furnishing the necessary engineering data, and assisting in the application for regulatory permits from local or national authorities. This is distinguished from and does not include detailed applications and supporting documents for government grants, aids, or planning grants that would be furnished as additional services described later this section. Preparing basic documents related to construction contracts for review and approval by the client and client's legal and others advisors. These include contract agreement forms, general conditions and supplementary conditions, invitations to bid, instructions to bidders, insurance and bonding requirements, and other contract-related documents. Furnishing to the client a specified number of copies of drawings, specifications, and other contract documents. Providing final design and construction services for design-build contracts. The engineer generally serves as a subcontractor to a general contractor during the initial planning and design phases. Services provided by the engineer may extend through the construction phase as appropriate. And lastly, providing periodic status reports. Bidding or negotiation phase. Services under this phase may include assisting the client in advertising for and obtaining bids or negotiating proposals for each separate prime construction contract, maintaining a record of prospective bidders to whom bidding documents have been issued, attending pre-bid conferences, and receiving and processing deposits for bidding documents. Issuing addenda as appropriate to interpret, clarify, expand, or amend the bidding documents. Assisting the client in determining the qualifications and acceptability of prospective contractors, subcontractors, and material suppliers. Consulting with and advising the client as to acceptability of alternative materials and equipment proposed by the prospective construction when substitution prior to the award of contract is allowed by the bidding documents. Attending the bid opening, preparing bid tabulation sheets, and providing assistance to the client in evaluating bids or proposals in assembling and awarding contracts for constructions, materials, equipments, and services. Construction phase. Construction phase services may include reviewing for compliance with design concepts, shop, and erection drawings submitted by the constructors, reviewing laboratory, shop, and mill test reports on materials and equipment, visiting the project site at appropriate intervals, providing services during construction by a full-time resident project representative and by supporting staff as required. Issuing instruction from the client to the contractors, issuing necessary interpretations and clarifications of contract documents, preparing change orders, requiring special inspections and testing of the work, and making recommendations as to acceptability of the work. Making recommendations to the client on corrective actions or contractual measures that may be exercised by the owner. Preparing sketches required to resolve problems due to actual field conditions encountered. Determining amounts of progress payments due based on degree of completion of work and recommending issuance of such payments by the client. Observing and assisting performance tests and initial operation of the project. Preparing record drawings form information submitted by the contractor. Making a final inspection and reporting on completion of the project. Operation phase. At the completion of construction, the civil engineer may, as basic service, assist in the start-up of project operations. The civil engineer may be commissioned to prepare a manual for both operations and maintenance requirements, and may also provide assistance in adjusting and balancing equipment, identifying deficiency, and assisting in obtaining corrections and performing inspection prior to the end of the project warranty period. The civil engineer may assist in operator training, setting up job classifications and salaries, organizing the purchases of supplies, developing charts for recording operational date, and observing and reporting on project operations.